The Tom Clancy meta franchise has always been at the forefront of everything Ubisoft does in every generation of console gaming. That is, once again, the case in these days of PS4 and Xbox One. Games like The Division and Rainbow Siege have seen some of Ubisoft's biggest releases in recent years, and now they're bringing back the Ghost Recon sub-series as well. Ghost Recon Wildlands looks to be one of the biggest, most ambitious games Ubisoft has ever made. But much like everything else these days that the company's name is attached to, there seems to be a lot of skepticism regarding this game. A lot of people are unsure whether this will be the sort of thrilling, excellent adventure Ghost Recon used to provide players with back in the days of Advanced Warfighter, or if it'll be a damp squib akin to the decent but ultimately disappointing Future Soldier. But while a lot of these questions are valid, there's no denying, at least on face value, it looks like Wildlands will be doing a number of great things. Things that have us excited to get our hands on the final product. In this feature, we've listed 15 things that we feel you should know about Ghost Recon Wildlands. 15 things that have us most excited for the game when it releases in a short time from now. Operation KINGSLAYER. Ghost Recon Wildlands is centered around 4 elite special operative soldiers, or ghosts, who are undercover in the beautiful yet dangerous nation of Bolivia for what they call Operation KINGSLAYER, an attempt to take down the Santa Blanca drug cartel and kill their powerful leader. The game's basic setup, it seems, has borrowed several beats from the film Clear and Present Danger, also of the Tom Clancy franchise, and anyone who's seen that movie knows that this is a good thing. Future Soldier No More. As a result of the more grounded story that Wildlands is going for, gone is the slick, futuristic setting of Future Soldier. As such, this game will not feature sci-fi weapons or advanced technology and gadgets to blow you away. Expect a story grounded in reality and a setting that does everything it can to complement that. And while we're talking about setting, vast, rich open world. The Bolivia of Ghost Recon Wildlands is massive, with the game itself being the first in the Ghost Recon series to be of the open world variety. According to some sources, it is the biggest open world Ubisoft has ever done, and while we don't have the exact statistics to prove whether or not that is true, we do know that the in-game map will be as varied as it is large. There are apparently 11 types of terrain for the players to explore and admire, from snow-capped mountains to open green fields to lush forests and arid desert-like areas. Researched atmosphere. It looks like Ubisoft have put an incredible amount of effort into making the Bolivia of Wildlands the best setting and in-game map they possibly could have. We say this because, as per reports and the developer's own claims, Ubisoft actually did quite a lot of research into what Bolivia looks. We've been told to expect an authentic Bolivian atmosphere, and if Ubisoft can truly combine a large, well-designed map with the right ambiance to it, it could turn into something extremely special. A variety of vehicles. With a map as large as the one in Wildlands is supposed to be, there were obviously going to be a lot of traversal options for players to choose from. Ghost Recon Wildlands boasts over 60 vehicles in total to help you travel through the map's air, waters, and landscapes, ranging from the likes of choppers, jeeps, tanks, to bikes and dune buggies, and even freaking earth movers. Dynamic weather. Keeping in line with the discussion of how Ubisoft are trying to make Wildlands game world seem as alive as possible, let's talk about the weather system. Ghost Recon Wildlands will feature a dynamic weather cycle, and a day and night cycle too, including heavy rainfalls, snow, windstorms, and what have you. All of these will affect your tactics and how you tackle missions. Think of it like Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. The weather will impair your visibility and your ability to hear things, all while doing the same to your enemies. So planning and executing your missions around these unpredictable dynamic factors should be pretty fun. Conflict between in-game factions. Wildlands Bolivia will be a tumultuous setting to say the least. While the Santa Blanca drug cartel will be the primary antagonist group in the game, there will also be several enemy factions all fighting against each other for supremacy, and these fights will often manifest themselves not only in the story and its progression, but also during gameplay. What's more, the conflicts between these factions will react to players' choices, meaning that there might be some interesting tactics for the particularly shrewd player to employ if Ubisoft implements this feature properly. Building relationships with NPCs. Building on the previous point, in Ghost Recon Wildlands, players will also be able to interact with several NPCs such as citizens, soldiers, or officials, and build actual constructive, or not, relationships with them. What makes this so interesting is that these interactions will change the game world, reacting to your decisions while also changing the way objectives and missions can be completed. We do not yet know just how full-featured this particular aspect will be, but it definitely sounds interesting, so color us intrigued. Unscripted AI. Perhaps one of the most intriguing and potentially impressive things about Wildlands is that its artificial intelligence will be completely unscripted, in as much as any kind of AI can be completely unscripted. Ubisoft has made the claim that enemy units and NPCs in Wildlands will have their own motivations and agendas. For instance, the rivalries between two members of two factions. Combine this element with the fact that your interactions between NPCs will affect the game world, and that different NPCs will have relationships among themselves separate of you, and you've got something with amazing potential and awesomeness in your hands. Co-op and solo. Ghost Recon Wildlands is built on the idea that most likely 4 players will be tackling the game's missions in conjunction, but the entire game can be played as solo as well. The game will truly flourish and be at its core best when being played cooperatively, but that doesn't mean it won't be functional when being played alone. When you play the campaign solo, you'll be accompanied by 3 AI ghosts as your companion, and you'll be able to issue rudimentary commands to each of them. While this may take away some of the freedom and potentially layered tactical planning of co-op mode, its inclusion still has to be appreciated. Play how you want. What is perhaps the biggest draw of Ghost Recon Wildlands is the fact that for each mission, the game lays out a scenario, gives you an objective, and then gives you the complete and absolute freedom to complete the objective however you want. This will lead to some exciting emergent gameplay beats similar to what we saw in the Phantom Pain, with a lot of long-range reconnaissance leading into the actual execution of the mission. This also means that the best parts of Wildlands, at least ideally, won't be scripted but ones of your own making. Side missions. Ghost Recon Wildlands will place a heavy emphasis on side quests. What is interesting though is that while such activities in open world games usually devolve into meaningless affairs, these missions in Wildlands will affect the progression of the story in the game world. So chances are you'll be spending a lot of time on these side missions. This is, after all, a Ubisoft game, so expect the map to be littered with tons of things to do, including enemy bases for you to infiltrate and clear out. Full-fledged leveling system. Because in this day and age, what's an open world game without an RPG element, right? Okay, but in all seriousness, the leveling system in Wildlands actually looks good. Like, it's not there just so that developers could cross that RPG progression off their to-do list, but it's there to have a meaningful impact on the way players play the game, complete with experience points, leveling up, perks and skills and what have you. You can apparently customize your ghost in Wildlands to your heart's content. Play the way you want, indeed. Extensive customization. And your ghost is not the only thing that you can customize in this game. That is a feature that will extend to several facets of gameplay, meaning that you should be able to customize your weapons, gear, and equipment right down to the finest details. This includes upgrades, but you can also expect everything from scopes and suppressors on guns to adding attachments like grenade launchers and even editing the paint jobs. In fact, the weapon's age will also impact what it looks like, so you will even have the option of using a weapon that looks properly worn and damaged. Varied equipment. If the numbers are to be believed, there are supposed to be more than 100 pieces of equipment in Ghost Recon Wildlands for players to unlock and make use of. Ranging from mines to C4, players will have a ton of stuff at their disposal. From using drones to scope out enemy bases to using bombs as distractions, players will be able to opt for all sorts of different strategies and tactics via the usage of this equipment. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.